I'd say in a lot of ways during those high school, junior high, and college years, why I hadn't completely given myself over to the Lord is I think life was pretty easy for me. And again, the Lord was definitely a part of my life. I consider myself a follower of Jesus. But in terms of that wholehearted follower of Jesus, hey, I want you number one in my life. And again, the rest of everything else falls into place. It just, it wasn't there. I set out, I set out to, steady job, something. I didn't need the biggest house or flashy cars. Get married, have a lovely wife, which I do. She's beautiful too. I got two lovely kids, a boy and a girl. And then about 2 years ago, I just really, I had all of those things, and I realized, I'm anxious. I think I was afraid of losing some of those things. I knew I didn't have, I knew I wasn't following the Lord the way that the Lord wanted me to follow Him, and I knew I was missing something. So what happened was, at my wife's gentle nudging, and this is kind of becoming a cliche in our church, but I started to attend men's fraternity. And in a lot of ways, that's where things began to change for me. And I'd say it was probably for two big reasons. The first one, I started to develop significant relationships with other people. Other men who, as it turned out, wanted some of the same things that I did. In men's fraternity, they talk a lot about authentic manhood and what it means to be a man, what it means to be a husband, and what it means to be a father. So I started to develop some of those significant relationships. And then the second thing was I started getting back into and started really, to be quite honest, for the first time in my life, consistently reading God's Word. When I began reading the Bible more consistently and really, for the most part on a daily basis, what I found was that I had that with me throughout the day. I would say the difference now, again, would be the significant relationships that I've developed through men's fraternity. And then spending enough time in God's Word that when I don't, and if I don't do it for a couple of days, I miss it. I definitely know that God has a plan for me. I mean, if you've been to Crossroads for longer than 5 minutes, you know that that's true. I think right now for me, continuing to surrender more and more parts of my life. I mean, the thing, it's sometimes we think, okay, I'm going to be a fully devoted follower of Christ, and we think it's going to happen, at the snap of a finger, and that's just not reality. It's just not. Again, we spend a lot of time living life a different way. And don't get me wrong, I know that God has the power to change people in an instant. For most of us, and I know for me, it's more of a process. And so as we go forward, continuing to, surrender more and more parts, which is difficult, and I'll be honest, I fail plenty. And I have days where I don't want to surrender. I have days when I take things back, and I have to, go back and re-surrender, those things. But again, what I've seen and what I'm hoping for is a continued, trend of growth. I know that I'll have my ups and my downs, but being at Crossroads and again spending time with the people there and the significant relationships that I've developed and the time that I've spent in God's Word, I see that continued trend of growth. And I have no doubt God is going to show me, if there's a major change in my future, I have no doubt God will show that to me. In fact, He won't let me rest until I make that change. And I understand that. But right now, I think just the daily surrender of, okay, Lord, what do you need from me today?